Hi, I'm Zachary Cownley, author of the Study Daily books, and thanks for joining me for a look at Doctrine and Covenants, section 77. This is a very unique section. As you look at it, you notice that it's a Q&A format. There's a question and there's an answer all the way throughout it. Joseph Smith and Sidney Rigdon are translating and going back through and providing inspired commentary for the New Testament at this point, and they come to the revelation of John. And as they look at it, of course, Joseph has lots of questions and people have lots of questions. But rather than studying the entire book of Revelations, which is what this section would require us to do, it's really useful in the New Testament. Instead, we want to look at section 77 as a case study. So here's some of the things I just want you to think of as you're noticing this. Why do you think Joseph Smith had to ask so many questions? Why didn't he ask just one, like explain the book of Revelations? Why did he have to go to the Lord with so many different questions? That might be a really good insight, is sometimes to get more answers, we have to be more specific, and that's how we get a larger thing, rather than like, oh, just tell me about the book of Revelations. Well, what does this part of it mean? And you can get it. Notice that for every question, there's an answer, and that this section ends with an answer rather than a question. I think that's really interesting. The person who ended the sequence wasn't God. It was that Joseph stopped asking questions, and so that it ended. It probably could have gone on. And that's the whole idea of study. Like in one session, you ask until you have those questions. But you gotta ask questions. We are not afraid of questions. This church was started by questions. It continued with questions. That's what most of the revelations in the Doctrine and Covenants are, questions. So what are the questions you have? And are you asking them enough? Are you waiting for answers? Because if you ask questions, answers will come. I think it's really interesting that Joseph was so impressed by this that he wrote down not only the answers, but also his questions. Are we invested enough in the questions we have that we're going to carefully craft them, that we're going to ask them in such a way that they come from places of faith and that can implement revelation? Sometimes people ask questions that God is not interested in giving because there's no revelation in the question. They're not asking for any revelation. They're just mad or they're confused. But if we will change questions into inspired questions by which we can get revelation, those are questions worth writing down. And those are answers that are going to come through thoughts and feelings that are also worth writing down. So the next time you study scriptures, I hope you pick up on this technique that you're willing to ask questions, to write down answers and thoughts and feelings, and to continue to ask more questions. If you have big questions that are unanswered, consider changing your question a little bit, thinking about it in a new way. Maybe even asking the Lord, how can I better ask this question so that you can answer? And watch how this changes our gospel study. Hey, thanks for studying. We'll see you next time as we look at Doctrine and Covenants, section 78.